Everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be something a little bit different, and I asked on Instagram for video ideas a little while ago, and a bunch of you said you wanted me to talk a little bit about my business. So for those of you who don't know, we own a restaurant. It's a wood-fired restaurant called Wood-Fired Shack in North Wales in Bangor, and we opened it not last July, the July before that, so July 2019. Obviously we're not open currently because COVID, but so many of you wanted me to talk a little bit about it, so I thought the best way to do it was to do a Q&A. So you guys sent through quite a few questions over on Instagram, so I'm going to just run through those for you because I thought that was a little bit more of an organised manner of doing this. If you hear noises and stuff, that's Lola downstairs, Paul's playing with her. And if my makeup looks a little bit different as well, I kind of filmed my 5-minute really quick basic makeup look that involves about 6 products and is really straightforward, so I filmed that, so that's what this look is. So let's start with question number 1, which says, why a restaurant and why pizza? So why a restaurant? Because we're insane. We had always kind of talked about it as like a dream of what we wanted to do, and Paul had kind of got various bits of kind of background with that sort of industry, like Lola, and I had been working in that industry for a fair amount of time in the end actually, and we kind of had always toyed with the idea. And then when the job where he was working at came to an end, the company had gone into administration, and we kind of had a certain amount of money that we had saved up, and there was a redundancy, and we were kind of like, right, what do we do with this? And it was kind of like a toss-up between, do we buy a house and try and just carry on in the way that we're doing, or do we try and do something that was our own? And we really wanted to try and do something that was our own. We knew that there would probably be children in the not so distant future, and we wanted to kind of be a little bit closer to family and that kind of thing, so we kind of looked at the possibility here. We looked at the possibility of doing a few different things, and in the end a restaurant is kind of where it ended up. Why pizza? Was because the food scene in general here is somewhat more limited than obviously in cities across the UK, and we thought that it was something that was lacking and that would be really good. There's a big student population here and that kind of thing, and we really love pizza, like really love pizza, and it was traditional Neapolitan pizza, like pizza the way that pizza should be, in my opinion. So that's that. Someone said highs and lows so far. Okay, we'll do highs first. The first night that we opened was just amazing. It was like you were so high on adrenaline, it was just the best thing ever. The feedback that we got was fantastic, and we just had an absolute ball. It was very social, it was very kind of fun, and we just really enjoyed it. So that was definitely a high. Another high along the way was we got to do a few bits of filming for kind of like, it's like a local lads Bible type thing, and they did like a best pizzas in North Wales kind of thing, and we were in there, and they came and filmed with us and that kind of thing. That was really cool. So there've been kind of like little bits and bobs like that. Whenever you have like a really good night, when the feedback's really great and everything runs really smoothly, that's always a high. Whenever you feel like you've done really well that day, like in your till, that's always a high. So those kinds of things. Lows, again, there have been a lot. COVID, definitely number 1 low. It's just so out of your control. The fact that, you know, sometimes you can't control who comes in, and it can just be a really quiet day because there aren't many people out and about. That kind of thing, those are really low. If you've got a staff member that leaves that you're really fond of, that's a low, that kind of thing. Then what are your future plans for the restaurant post-COVID? That is a very interesting question, and we have kind of come to the conclusion that we have to just carry on with the plan that we had before COVID, and adapt it as you're going. So keep things like contactless menus and all of that kind of thing. We very early on started doing all of that before it was mandatory, because in Wales, for example, for a while it wasn't mandatory to wear masks in indoor spaces, but we were doing that, and we did the track and trace system very early on. Pretty much as soon as we opened, we started doing that, which a lot of businesses weren't doing. A lot of businesses, even though it's mandatory before lockdown, weren't doing, which really winds me up, because I think it's really irresponsible if anything were to happen. So yeah, just things just in that direction really. But it is hard to plan, it is hard to know kind of where you're headed, because it's a completely unforeseen territory. It's, you know, what's the economy going to be like? Are people going to still have jobs? Are people going to still have a disposable income? It's very hard to know. Then someone said, what town/city is your business in? So I answered that at the beginning. It's in Bangor in North Wales. And why did you choose this location? I kind of answered that already as well. Then another person said, something you wish you knew before embarking on this journey. Oh God, that's a very good question. There are so many things that I wish that we knew. One of the main things, actually two of the main things, were I wish that we knew that things were a little bit more backwards here in terms of the kind of food that people were used to, and that it takes time for that to kind of to catch on. Obviously, you know, places, if you come from somewhere that's near London, things are always a little bit more further ahead with that kind of thing, and that was misleading. But one of the main things I think personally was we both came from working backgrounds where there was a really lovely dynamic in terms of kind of like staff and boss. So where we worked, in both, like, they were both different jobs obviously, but we were both really lucky that the team was really close, and it was just really just kind of smooth sailing. There was no there was friendship and respect, and they were both at a perfect balance, and it just worked perfectly. So we came to this very much with a mindset of wanting that to be the case. We wanted to kind of be a family, and to not be like, you know, the scary boss, and to have fun, and to be able to communicate like you would with a friend, and just keep it really chilled. And while I think there is a place for that, that only works with certain people. And I thought that it was one of those cases where if you treated people well, then that they would do that back to you, and if you treated people with respect, they would do that back to you, and that was all there was to it. And obviously that is not at all the case. And certain people, you can do that and they will still do their job properly, and they will still respect you, and they will still understand that, like, I'm your friend and we're, you know, pally, but you have to do your job correctly. And there are other people who that line gets blurred, and they will take advantage, and they don't understand, and it just all gets really messy. And I now realise that unfortunately you have to be at a distance, you have to be perceived as a bitch sometimes, which, don't even get me started on the fact that, you know, men don't get perceived as that and whatever, but you have to be able to come across that way sometimes, because it's necessary, because you need people to do their job, because you're paying them to do a job, and because there needs to be a level of respect. And as much as you try and keep things very jovial, there is always going to be people who, take advantage of that, and who it just doesn't work with, and who need to be kept on a tight leash, or it doesn't work for them. And it's unfortunate, because we have had staff members who that has worked with brilliantly, and then we've have had ones where it doesn't, but you can't kind of tailor it in that way. You have to kind of just keep it as a general thing, and how you manage things, how you approach things. So that's been a steep learning curve, and some things that now I do very differently, and that is sad, because like I said, I didn't come from, you know, a place where that was what happened, but it kind of was where it ended up. Then we have, what is the best and worst thing about owning your own business? Owning your own business, the best thing is obviously everything's kind of in your control to a point. That pleases me greatly. The worst is obviously if everything is on you. You are in charge of everything, and there's no fallback plan, there's no one to run things by. Yes, there's two of us and we're in a partnership, but we're generally on the same page with that kind of thing. To a point. I think I'm a lot stricter with what I accept in terms of like behaviour things, whereas Paul's a little bit more easygoing than I am with a lot of things like that. But I am stricter, and I've learned to be as well. So that's kind of probably one of the more difficult ones. Then another one said, I was under the impression that it was a family owned business. No, question mark. No, it's not a family owned business. Well, it's our business, so it's myself and my fiance, which, you know, I hate that word, business. I have had various family members work for us at various points. I haven't got anyone that I'm related to working for us at the moment, and there are a lot of situations where that works really well, but it's not for everybody. There's a local business to us that is kind of completely family run, and it seems to work really well for them, but it's something that I would say enter with caution, because it doesn't always work for everybody, and I think there's a lot of room for kind of just doing your own thing. So that is something that I would be mindful of, but it varies from person to person. So yeah, I'm gonna love you and leave you with that. I'll make this like a part one. If you want me to answer any other questions, like literally anything you can think of, even if it's like logistical things or stuff like that, I'm happy to go over it. So pop them in the comments down below, and then I can get more questions from there and we'll go over it again. But I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you all very soon. Bye.